I think we can all agree that modern dating is very difficult. It is very tenuous. A particular symptom of that difficulty are going to be those entitled women that you see in TikTok, in YouTube, and Instagram reels. You've seen them before, you've heard them before. Delusional women who believe that the bare minimum their partner needs to be is 6'4", earning over $100,000 a year, perhaps more. Perhaps $250,000 is probably more accurate, and drive an Aston Martin or insert another cliche luxury car. And comparatively, these women are the kind of women who have had 2 failed marriages. They have 2 kids from different fathers. They do OnlyFans, and they don't even know how to fry an egg. So there stems the delusion. You will see some version of this kind of woman over and over again in different social media settings, like the one I've prefaced before, on the podcast, on the dating shows. And you ask yourself, what is this new virus? What is this new pandemic that's happening? The pandemic of entitled women. And the truth is, and it's a hard truth to accept, it's our fault. It's our fault as men. The less a man will fob this off as a lack of accountability on those kind of women. And I think there is certain truth to that. We can certainly explore that area, but it is my theory that the manifestation of these kinds of women starts because of our greed, and we are the pushing point to creating these kind of very delusional women. I'm going to start addressing this issue how I always address a lot of the issues I discuss on my channel, which is lack of sexual control, discipline, mastery over one's animal self. It comes with the understanding that men and women are gatekeepers comparatively in their sexes to 2 specific values, right? We're guardians of 2 specific values. Women are the gatekeepers for sexual intercourse and sexual intimacy. Of course, you know this. It is they who decide who can get sexual access to them. We may believe that it is us if we are of the opinion that we're particularly loquacious and we are proficient in sexual seduction. But it is only with their consent do we gain access to that. Some men may be more proficient in that, of course, but believe me, it is the women who really consent to that happening. Men, on the other hand, we are the gatekeepers for long-term relationships or relationships in general, and of course, marriage. The comfort and security of a relationship is something women by and large, value above all else. But it is only with our consent do they get access to that kind of privilege. We are the ones who bring women into our lives. That is typically the way to frame it. We are bringing somebody to add to our empire, our day-to-day, more than it is the latter part of that. And I'm sure intuitively a lot of you, or even logically a lot of you know this, but here's where the confusions and problems start to arise in the modern dating arena. Women who allow access to men to them sexually believe they are going to be the same caliber of man who will automatically give them access to a relationship and marriage with them. This is not the case. So it's often assumed by a woman that if I sleep with a man, that the same man would be happy to enter into a relationship with me. Why ever not? I've allowed him access to me sexually, the guarded part of that value. Why would he not give up the same keys to the kingdom in respects to access with him long term and in some kind of commitment relationship? This is difficult. This is very difficult. Many men will make the same kind of argument that I have just done. Which I understand, but Joseph, you've already established that it is the woman who safeguards sexual access to her. So surely is it not the responsibility of men who also get access to the keys of the kingdom? this is where we need to take a little bit more accountability in respect to our sexual appetite. I believe that this is where the modern degeneracy in the pursuit of women has allowed us to become ignorant to the facts that we're damaging masculine and feminine relationships and the interplay between them, and also the feminine psychology, because we are leaders first and fundamentally. You need to understand that men are the humans, are the leaders of the human race. We set the tone, we set the pace, we set order in the world. That is the typical energy of the masculine. We create order out of this chaos here, and we are typically looked to in the form of leadership, of decision making in that regard. And the minute we begin to do what is easy over what is pleasurable, the whole human race gets thrown off kilter. We lose our path, we lose our direction, and we start to fall into disrepute. It is the lack of our sexual control which is killing our opportunities in dating and reducing the quality of women in our community. And it all begins with a lack of understanding between those two guardianships, the women being the guardian of sex and men being the guardian of relationships. And when we start to take shortcuts and, again, ignorant of the other fact, we begin to create the kind of women that we despise, and the women begin to create the kind of men that they despise. And it's all because we choose what is easy over what is right in that moment. Men need to understand that the minute they sleep with someone they would never marry or they would never date, they create the very women they complain are entitled and delusional. And the minute women sleep with a man without first ascertaining some form of commitment, they create the kind of men that are these fuckboys, these playboys, these individuals that are promiscuous. I was going to use another pejorative there, but you understand what I mean there. There needs to exist a happy medium between those two safeguarding and gatekeeping communities. People laugh and mock the idea of arranged marriages or no sex before marriage, but those individuals are living a far more contented and higher quality of life than most modern men and women are today. And why? Because they understand those two roles. They understand that the more partners that an individual has, the more difficult it is for them to be able to pair bond, and also perverting again the value behind which they safeguard. I mean, entering somebody's body is valuable and intimate, and it should not be considered lightly. Allowing somebody access to your relationship and a commitment is valuable, is intimate, and something that should not be squandered. I know men that can't spend 2 or 3 months alone because they have mummy issues and they have a lack of, or they have a poor relationship with the feminine. They can't be with themselves alone, and I know some women are equally like that. But gosh, we have to learn to take some accountability, and some independence, I think, is also crucial in that respect. It all stems from a fear, I think, fundamentally of being alone. And that can be a point of contention and a point of neurosis for a lot of people. So since I'm talking, largely to a male audience, what would be the most valuable piece of advice I can give to you? Just because you can sleep with somebody doesn't mean you should. I think the most powerful, strong, admirable, competent, divine, generous, righteous men of the world are the men who have the capacity to sleep with many women, but they don't. It's the same analogy with the most dangerous warriors and fighters in the world, is that those who have the capacity for great violence but can control it, but can discipline themselves, who can keep their sword sheathed, they will inherit the earth. The meek will inherit the earth. And that's what that particular story is talking about. The meek will inherit the earth. The most powerful and righteous, but know how to use it, they will inherit everything. And that is all I will say on that. But like I always say, gentlemen, these are just theories. Take what is most valuable and conducive to your life and well-being, and discard which is not. And I will bring you something else very, very soon. Take care.